Welcome to WineWire, everyone, and welcome to the place where you can find wines you only find in restaurants. My name is Adam, and this is obviously not Nelson. It doesn't even look like Nelson. Nothing even similar. This is António Maçanita from FitaPreta Winery in the Alentejo in Portugal. FitaPreta is probably, I'm just going to admit it right now, I'm a huge fan of your wines. I have it in my cellar. The FitaPreta, the Bianco, the white, is probably one of my favorite white wines that come out of really anywhere. I probably drink it a little too much. That's not a bad thing, but it is an absolutely delicious wine, and it's a huge pleasure for me to have you on the show.
It's my pleasure.
To sit down and chat with you. So, Antonio, tell us a little about FitaPreta, because the one thing I do know after talking to you is that you take a special care in producing wine that comes from place, has a certain amount of terroir.
Yep.
But please tell us about a little bit of the winery.
So, tell a little bit my story of how did I get there.
Yes,
because,
please.
I studied in Portugal and then went in 2001 to work at Napa Valley. 2002 came back to work in Napa. And then 2003 went to Australia, to Darrenburg, and then went to France, to Linge-Vache. And when I got back home, I just wanted mostly to do things out of the box. So it was not back to the roots, it was actually just trying to do everything different. We had new tastes, new flavors. Our wines were blending Portuguese varietals with foreign varietals. So this was the beginning in 2004. And when I got back to Portugal, I wanted to know more about vineyards, and I met this viticulturist named David Booth.
Yes.
So, basically we chatted out, and he let me tag along to know a little bit more about vineyards. 6 months after, we were starting a wine project. So the challenge here on our wine project was to do how to make wine without money. So
That's the story of many businesses.
Okay. So how to start a business without money. So we rented a little bit of land, we did some custom crush, we did our first wine, and also we had a bit of beginner's luck. So our first wine was trophy in International Wine Challenge, and it was a trophy that would be given twice in 23 years.
Wow.
So for a start, it was a really good start. And so we just came from there. In the beginning, we really were looking we wanted our identity on the wines.
Mm-hmm.
And this is
your personal touch?
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, we had the experiences from different countries, and we wanted to put that on the wines. We didn't want to do what everyone else was doing.
Mm-hmm.
But the more you stay home, and you feel that actually your own things are not proper. You don't identify what it should be already.
Mm-hmm.
So actually, I think making different is actually making it as true and as back to the roots, back to the base as possible. So
Right.
This is how we got to this moment that a lot of our wines are just in this constant research of just trying to get it as pure and as much personality of the region inside of a bottle as possible.
So, but you stand for something.
Yeah.
And when you start to take that track, your wines stand for something. It's no longer an expression of just the person; it's an expression of the person and their interpretation of the
Yep.
land that they're getting these grapes from. And that in itself is entirely different from what a lot of producers are doing.
Even, for example, this FitaPreta white, you're saying you love it. It was really done for no one to love it. It was exactly just when we did that first wine, I always said it's a viticulturist wine because it's just grabbing the grapes. Everything's handpicked, whole bunch pressed, decanted, fermented, goes into a bottle. We wanted to grab the grapes and put it in the bottle. It's not as sexy as some things. It's not as floral. It's not as passion fruit. But it is what it is.
Yeah, but there's beauties in the eye of the beholder.
Exactly.
And I'm a case in point. But I think that's a perfect segue. We should start talking about let's taste it up.
So this is FitaPreta white.
And this is the 2011 vintage.
So this is a vineyard that we actually found 4 or 5 years ago. And it was almost abandoned, very badly managed. But we saw a lot of talent in it because it's a 25, 30-year-old vineyard, deep soils, clay soils. And what's great about it, it's not irrigated. It looked like if you have clay soils on warm climates, it's going to give you a little bit more delay on ripeness.
Mm-hmm.
And that's important for warm climates.
Well, I was going to ask that question because the Alentejo is actually very warm,
very warm
warm.
climate.
And, you know, there's a tremendous amount of acidity in this wine.
Yeah.
Which is, like, for me, it's kind of a bit of a mental disconnect. I'm thinking
And
hot
it is,
region,
and it is, of
big
course.
flabby, but this is like wicked,
Yeah.
laser beam. And does that really have to do with the fact that you're putting indigenous grapes in this? I mean, it's really what's coming, what grows there naturally.
That, yes, and also taking it to, I only realized that we were doing this after doing it, meaning I started, because we do whole bunch pressing, we don't crush grapes. We actually can take just what's in the juice. And we were doing ripe fruit with almost unripe fruit, all that. But what's great about it, if you start thinking about it, it's the field blend is giving that naturally. So back in the days when it was all mixed up, naturally that was happening. So you'd have fruit that is ripe with fruit that is unripe, and in the end you end up with a wine that has acidity, has texture, has fruit, because each one of the varietals are bringing components.
And there's not a lot the winemaker needs to do.
Yes,
Yeah, and that kind of stands the point.
my objective here is really just grab this and put it into a bottle.
You know, I love this wine. For the first time I tasted it, it was all about kind of white flowers and citrus, but a real earthiness to it as well. There's almost like a stoniness or a minerality to it that really surprised me, considering where it's coming from.
Completely.
And you know, for me, it was just a really delicious, accessible wine, great food pairing. Like, it just goes with everything.
Thank you.
Yeah, so I've fawned over it enough. I think I've kind of blown
No,
sunshine.
no, this is what's great. Again, it's so important that we draw from something for ourselves and hope that someone has the same sense of aesthetics than we have. So just creating a wine, putting it in the bottle, and expecting. We knew that it wasn't going to be the more appealing to the main audience, but we got so much fans behind it, fans and wine critics behind it.
Yeah.
That was quite a surprise because we were doing it for ourselves.
You know, also, I failed to mention this, but this wine absolutely is a complete value-driven wine. It's $18 and change. It's available here at WineWire, and it is absolutely a fantastic wine. I don't want to go on too much about it because the next one I think is extremely interesting. There's a real story behind it. So why don't we try the number 2 on the hit parade?
Okay.
So this is the
Branco de Talha. Branco de Talha means white wine out of an amphora. So this is taking a step further in what we were talking about, FitaPreta white. So it's just saying, well, what is the wine region? Okay, it's the indigenous grape varietals. It's this mix of richness with freshness, and it's its culture. Its culture, it's the indigenous grape varietals, but also how it was made in the past.
It's tradition.
Tradition.
It has roots.
And so, back in the year 4 before Christ, when the Romans invaded the Iberian Peninsula, and they brought industrialization to the region. And this is one of the few regions that actually the amphora that we call Talha has lived till today.
Wow.
So you'll get in, well, first it's all over. You can't go to a restaurant without seeing one. And second, the producers, the small producers, still do it in amphoras. So it's not something we went back 2,000 years to get it. It's there all over. And I just wanted to see if we could do, what would happen if we would ferment it in
Well,
an amphora.
it definitely adds a whole new level of texture to it.
And profile.
Yeah.
It's you have the fruit, you have the brightness, but then you have the earthiness.
Yes.
There's like I always say, and people will say that's not very good for marketing. There's something odd about it.
But odd is not a bad thing.
It's
odd
great.
is interesting.
Odd is like you can get on a Roquefort cheese, or
Yeah.
you can only get personality if you're not controlling it. And so there's this odd thing about it, and we've had so much fun with chefs pairing this for example, shiitake mushrooms.
Really?
There's
Yeah,
the earthy
absolutely.
character, truffles, beetroot. So just taking it's gastronomically has the acidity, but then it has a component like a chemical odd component that works
Like a diesel. Like a
diesel.
Yeah, absolutely. Not that I'm sniffing diesel a lot, but that's a whole other issue. But this definitely
That was
has,
a long time ago.
It was a long time ago. A lot of therapy. This has definitely got something, as you said, odd, but it has personality, and I think that's the key thing. You know, this is a